It's Friday, December 31st, 2021 at 1:27 p.m. here locally in downtown Seattle. This is the TheOneHiraethProject's DiaryCast number 20, entitled It Begins. And it does with a knock at the door. I have no unfinished business to address, and it's time to move forward. I do what I found effective at these moments in time where I feel like I've come to the end of a cycle. I recalibrate, I wait for inspiration, and then I take on the world again. I look for adventure, hold steady in my beliefs. Something in this recalibrated environment I know is going to shift, and that's when I begin to expect what I'll call a messenger energy to present in my life. I used to seek this clarity of mind out using emotions and would tune into a feeling that I've discovered connects me to what I'll call a void of eternity, running in all directions, where a voice speaks in rhythm and synchronicity with my own. Through this gateway of time, I've also found that this voice, this messenger, is ever present. It's always there within the ever flow of awareness. And if I, let's say, exude feelings of desire to glimpse the next comes to me instead of me having to go and search for it. Now, in this case, the guide or the messenger has come through as an angelic presence, and on this occasion that I'm about to share with you, it came in what I'll say is an embodied form, as opposed to its usual etheric formlessness. Now, give me a moment and I'll circle back around and share the whys of this how. But suffice it to say, the future envisioned years ago to follow my intuition and walk this open pathway into a world new, one apart from custom, and one part of a whole, has somehow materialized. It's here in the now. I guess you could say I had a vision of this future that I'm now living in the present day. A future to find home, find my Hiraeth, to more personally grasp and open to understandings of, let's say, the movements of the clockwork, of how this capacity, this state of beingness that we call reality operates, both physically and energetically, or even spiritually, if I might. And how such practical, yes, I did say practical, how such practical knowledge can offer insights into living a life in a new way, one that was once imperceivable to me because I just didn't have any concept of its existence until I went on this journey of exploration. And now it's what I'm living in present day. I've deconstructed and rebuilt my life from the inside out and the outside in. And I've landed in a space of personal stability never experienced before. I've learned to ride a wave of change that travels through one's life without expectation, deeply knowing that what has happened is happening and what will happen is all exactly as it should be. Whether I fight against this storm of contrast or surf the ocean of endless possibilities, what will be will be. If I've learned anything, it's that. I accept I have free will, yet in ways that are still unclear to me, my choices always bring me back to this median point, a state of balance, seemingly woven into the fabric of higher manifestation. And upper etheric management has it all in hand, and it's thrilling. If led to or as presented, I will react to any such tidal surges, in other words, contrast, as they occur until my physical death removes contrast from the equation. I'll do this using the gift of wisdom that I've garnered over the past few years in a mode of reverie and by means of courage gained through the day-to-day, and allow it to unfold with the bold signature of intelligence and consciousness native to that which only the whole of the universe is truly aware. That's how I feel about my humanity. I'm in sync with where I want to be. I'm grounded in the knowing that my intuition is the best and only guide I need to find peace and live in joy, have stability in my forward movement, in ways only I need to sense. I don't need others to feel the same way that I do about me, my choices, my spirituality, the unconventional way I live my life, my equilibrium in the flow, theirs to believe in or to shun. I don't need anyone's approval to feel good about myself, about my taking it all in stride and finding comfort in that yet unknown. With eternal acceptance in, and if needed, forgiveness of those in discord with that to which I'm tuned in, be they family, friends, or other more casual acquaintances who find my ways downscaling or in contrast with the fundamental rhythm they step in beat with. I'm immune. Sure, I could invite concern about being judged, labeled, misunderstood by those who welcome such actions. But the thing is, I just don't care anymore. Not because I'm obstinate or stubborn, but because I see these behaviors like judging, as a human conditioning that one puts on like a coat and can take off just as easily. How can I have any feeling other than neutrality for an individual or a group who is, and I say hesitantly, but for a lack of a better word, who is ignorant to the truths that lie beyond their ability or readiness to comprehend? Well, I can't and call myself caring, so I let go and allow as I would wish for in return. I'm a free spirit and proud of it. I don't expect anyone to agree with me, to be part of my life, and I disconnect with those who do. I love my life. I'm grateful for all of the odd and unusual, even the otherworldly sorts of encounters that I've had, and I wouldn't give up these gifts, these opportunities for any amount of wealth, approval, or acceptance. What a release this type of grace offers. So when did I realize a recalibration was taking place? That a cycle had ended? It began with the snow that fell on the day after Christmas here in downtown Seattle. The sight was magical from the 6th floor, ceiling to floor, wall of windows throughout this loft apartment. What triggered the realization began to alchemize into a visceral feeling that evolved into a knowing by Monday. The streets and sidewalks were slick, covered with a few layers of ice. Here in Seattle, many of the streets rise to the occasion of being considered mountainous in that they angle up to and in excess of about 45-degree angles, making a human into a bobsled if they're not prepared, or even if they are. That made my time-sensitive need to have a document notarized and FedEx to its final destination a necessary evil. Clocking in at 17 degrees with the breeze coming off of the Elliott Bay hit my skin and took my breath away. It was cold, it was frigid, and the streets of Seattle resembled a city long ago abandoned. I was alone, and it was pretty great. I walked downhill about a mile to FedEx to make copies, then off as if preparing for the ice capades as I headed to the local bank. That bank was temporarily closed in a permanent-looking sort of way, so instead of venturing out further, I returned to my cityscape views and warm walls. This time, I called ahead and asked if bank number 2 would be open and had a notary in residence. Yes and yes. But he was their only one, and they were closing early due to weather. So I set a meeting for Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. to go back to get a document notarized. At 10 a.m. that following day, I walked southeast the 1.5 miles to bank number 2, got my document notarized, and then walked north back to FedEx, where I mailed the paperwork and headed back up the hill to Alley 24 and my beautiful seascape views. It was in those empty streets of Seattle that I got my first nudge of recalibration. My mind was clear and open, inviting thoughts and wonderments of many. I realized my enjoyment of this chilling, slick, snow and ice-covered corner of the States was outside the norm for the citizens of Seattle. the notary volunteered that it's rare for it to snow in Seattle, and even when it does, it melts pretty fast, with average temperatures in the winter here being around the high 30s into the high 40s. On the rare occasion, like now, when the snow remains for more than a day, and even as more snow falls on top of that, as it did on Monday and Tuesday, it's so rare that the city just shuts down. People don't know how to drive in it. Hillside sidewalks are left unshoveled in most cases. Businesses close early or don't open at all, and people stay inside. Then there's me, inviting the snow, welcoming the walks, gleefully layered to keep out of the cold. Even a homeless guy inside his tent yelled at me, asking me what the hell was I doing outside if I didn't have to be. That's the thing. It isn't unusual where I grew up, where I've lived most of my life, and the places that I've visited to embrace the snow and the cold. Here, however, it was foreign, and anyone who feels otherwise, there's something wrong with them. Ding, ding, ding. That was it. That was the notice for me. Or should I say bang, 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 as you'll hear here in a moment. That's a perfect example of value systems and indulging in the act of judgment gone askew. If I was from the Netherlands, for example, it would be the opposite. Cold and snow is life, and the beauty exchanged through the unique sound of ice crackling, for example, or the northern lights, is in perfect alignment with the sacrifices made by those folks who live in that area. Now apply that value system and judgment indulgence to anything where one person feels their life is right, better, appropriate, the way it's supposed to be, and another's is not, because as a human race, the majority still feel judgment is justified and necessary in some cases to make others see, quote unquote, the right way. That's where phase 2 of recalibration began. You see, I have family and friends who repeatedly tell me how they see the world as X and find my Z view wrong, no matter how I may try to offer, say, alternative insights into my perspective, and response continues in contrast. I have family and friends who repeatedly tell me how they see the world as X and find my viewing it as Z not only wrong, but no matter how I may try to offer alternative insights into my perspective, the contrast continues. There's no acceptance. Judgment is the spice of the day. And as long as I live differently, I'm suspect, undesirable, someone to be avoided. Okay then. I'll just step away from you and you and you and let you continue to live with blinders on. I don't mind. In fact, I support your choice because that's your reality. The true difference is in my way of non-judgment, of viewing reality from a distance as if a script in the state of eternal rewriting. I let go. I move forward. I forgive for how someone may behave if they can't see what I see. I too accept that there is much more that I have yet to see, which countless others have come to see before me. It's in this awareness of awareness where I find my resolve. This played out when I read a rhyme on Wednesday called Space Between. That rhyme felt as if it was talking right to me. Now, of course, it was just an anonymous rhyme on an anonymous website, but to me, it zoomed in and focused on exactly what I'd faced recently with locals during this snowstorm. Indifference and looking disgusted, as well as family and friends in the months and years that have passed. And I realized it didn't bother me. I was great just the way I was. They were great just the way they were. We're just experiencing life individually, and that's perfect. Not wrong, not something to agitate, just perfect in the imperfection. The words of that author did not offend me. Surprised me maybe, but didn't offend me. His words were actually quite respectful in their presentation of truth as the writer perceived it. It was the writer's presentation The methodical temperance, the rhythm, the drum beat that was seemingly utilized to create this series of statements that I could actually relate to. I could hear the author speaking. It didn't make me want to turn away, to get angry or frustrated, or to cry or self-absorb. It had the opposite effect. It made sense in such a way that I knew no reaction was the correct response. And believe me, with this rhyme alone, I considered commenting. Through its tone, its kind consideration, in word choice, in method of presentation, I felt confident in not answering that door that was opened by this potentially contrasting position. I could accept it, appreciate it, and know that I could just let go without claiming it as a task that had to be dealt with, much like how I had been reacting to those in my life of late that brought the potential for angst. I just don't worry about it anymore. So I stepped away from it, letting it end so that the new could begin. I forgave myself for expecting convergence with the writer, with those family and friends, with the people of Seattle, and forgave the others for not having faith in me. I read the rhyme and I stepped back for about 10 to 15 minutes in a quiet state of contemplation. I wanted to better grasp why it was that it didn't bother me when others found my ways repelling, when in most cases it's more colloquial than actual in nature. But why then are these others so triggered by that which is different in the first place, no matter how open they may have been to expanded perspectives? Is it fear of the unknown? Is it loyalty to truth taught by those respected and admired, whether actually true or truth contrived or the consequence of construction? And why isn't communication effective in dispelling such misunderstandings? Those are big questions. And I got a big answer when I heard bam, bam, bam on the door somewhere just outside this apartment. It's next to the stairwell, but why pound on the door? I looked out the peephole and no one was there. As I did, I heard someone exit their apartment and enter the stairwell, so I knew that no one was trapped in there or anything like that behind that door. Where did the door knocker go? Why the pounding? Then I remembered my friend James and a personal reading he did for me at the end of September for the third quarter of 2021 and his mention of a loud door knocking.
I think this is more your energy. Whether you tell this person now or later, the same outcome is happening. This person is kind of like, I feel like they're going on permanent mute. It's like, I feel like, when you have a picture of the past, it seems like this picture, I'm seeing this picture of the past, and I've kind of already decided, like, I'm keeping that in the past, and now I'm seeing it go from color to black and white, like with all the gray tones, and it's kind of like, I'm just going to leave it there. It's kind of like, it's becoming so far of the past. Nothing just happened, but I just got this really strong impression of somebody, like, beating on the door, like, knocking very aggressively. Why, what is that about? What is that about? I just got this really strong, somebody like knocking on the door very aggressively. I don't think you're going to answer that door. But that's like the last part of this. Somebody's knocking. I feel like that's going to literally happen though. That's uncomfortable. So I feel like wherever you're staying at the time in December, that was very uncomfortable. It's like I could feel like somebody hitting the door, like, you know when somebody like knocks on the door with the side of their fist and it's like, oh my God, like I don't think I'm going to answer. I don't think you do. I think that whatever the door is, I think it's secure. I think you're fine, but it's kind of like, that's a rude way to knock on somebody's door. It's like how the police knock on a door sometimes. You know, when they hit it, like, really loud, I don't think you're going to answer that door, and I think that's going to be, like, it's kind of the end, but it's kind of like, I don't think you're going to, like, talk to them about it. this is where justice prevails. It's kind of like, I don't feel like we need to stress about this. I'm just going to let you figure out that this is already done. Because I'm getting like there's unresolved feelings in January. This is where January popped in. The Four of Cups. I feel like you don't owe this person any type of explanation. I don't feel like you do. I don't think you're going to answer, because I see afterwards you seem to be fine. You could just shut your mouth, phone. Sorry, it's too far away for me to get up and turn it off, apparently. They're going to learn the hard way. I feel like this is just obvious. They're going to learn the hard way. They can try to take their time, like October, November, December. I think December is the end of it. I don't think it's going to go much after that. Maybe a week, if at most. And they're going to realize they can think they're going to wait you out, but it is not going to work. It's not going to work. By the way, something about that door coming back again, it doesn't upset me like when I first felt that energy, but I'm getting like not answering the door seems like the good way to handle that. I feel like that's the best outcome. Take it with a grain of salt. It shocked me. Like, that was weird how that came in, because it was like all of a sudden I felt it. Like, I'm thankful I didn't hear it like clairaudiently, because I do have some of that ability once in a while, so I didn't hear it that way. Thank you. But I felt like I could feel the door, like somebody hitting that door. I could feel that, like, as if it was happening. You know how that you can feel those vibrations? I could feel it, and I was like, oh, I don't like that. But it came in out of nowhere. I just kind of sat there and froze, and then it stopped, and I felt like I sat there for like 10 to 15 minutes, and I just didn't move until I was sure it was gone, and then I was just kind of like, you know what, I think I'm gonna just, I don't know, I felt like I was just gonna like step back and just chill for a while and just let things simmer. I didn't feel scared afterwards. I was just kind of like, that was uncalled for. A lot of this is just talking about that. I feel like once that happens, that door knock, because I feel like the door knock is like it's like a trigger to like do something else. I feel like it's time to like go. I feel like that's like something, like I feel like I need to just kind of go. I don't know what that means for you, but I feel like it's kind of like, okay, moving on from that subject. Totally. I think you move around a lot though, don't you? I don't know if it has anything to do with that, but I feel like, you know, whoever is pushing the button, I feel like that's when like I might decide that I'm just not going to respond to them at all anymore.
It was when James said, you don't have to overthink it. You can always change your mind. I realized the truth of that. I didn't have to analyze and overanalyze and again analyze the possible outcomes to pick the one that assured to make the best impression, or let's say the most astute retort. I could just do nothing and let it play out on its own, free from interference by me and my views, free to be with or without me. The thing is, this reference to door banging came up once before on 11/28. I was watching a movie called Convergence, and about 20 minutes in, there was a bang, bang, bang that shook me to the core at that time.
Okay, just one more. It's called the Tunguska event, and it was a comet or a meteor or something like that entered the atmosphere over Siberia and exploded over Earth. So it didn't actually have physical impact. It didn't touch Earth, didn't leave a crater or anything, but the force of that explosion flattened trees for hundreds of miles. But it only killed about 1 to 2 people.
Because they were in Siberia, there's probably only 2 people there.
Yeah, but
So
they don't
wiped out the population of
necessarily.
Siberia.
Basically, yeah.
Right.
Well, that doesn't make you feel better.
And when was this?
It's like in 1908, 1903.
What is...
What the hell was that? I don't know. It says locked up
Don't
front
go to the
door.
door.
Baby,
I'm gonna get
What?
the bat.
Yeah, give me the bat.
oh my god.
Mike, is that door locked?
I'll check it.
Baby, stay away from the door.
Mary, take it.
No!
I just want to see what the hell is out there.
Oh,
Oh, God.
Please don't go, man.
Is there anybody there?
The front door's locked.
There's nothing. There's nothing out there.
I wrote to James about it and said it was a couple of days early, of course, being that he said this was going to occur in December, But I was sharing it now just in case that was the door knocking. That movie was about a meteor coming close to Earth and a group of friends getting together for dinner on the night that it was to happen, and find what occurs is a multitude of parallel universes that seem to interweave, revealing multiple versions of themselves, appearing as if all had converged into a single space during this cosmic event. Convergence, that was a huge key here, and the concept of parallel universes, not in a sci-fi sort of way, but in that there are existing alternative ways of being, of expression that may or may not overlap with those of another. I've converged with the many, accepting each person's view as being unique and beautiful as a personalized expression. Most have not, remaining unwilling to consider the existence and value of parallel yet different views or ways of being, even realities. And if that wasn't enough, a recalibration completed when this door banging was followed with a familiar calendar notification chime sharing a reminder I posted in late September. Well, I was recalling the movie Convergence, having now been in contemplation for a handful of minutes. When this reminder popped up, it referenced another video from this same friend, James. Now, this video had been on his public YouTube channel for Pisces, which is my moon sign, or all about your emotions, entitled, Is It Done? At 6:58, James mentions that some situation will occur at about this time in September, or whenever the viewer is watching it, and I wanted to see if James had gotten it right. So for me at this moment, concluding this series of events, it was just confirmation by watching James Pisces' video from September that I needed to accept that my intuition and this state of recalibration was a closing out of this cycle. And we're talking a big cycle, the cycle of journeying to find my answers, to open to living fully and the knowing that my answers have come. I'm home.
I'm also going to say these readings are relevant for whenever you come to them. I'm almost like the energy is kind of like jumping a little bit. So, for example, if you watch this in the end of September, early October, or something like that, I think whatever it is you're waiting for will happen before the year is out. It's just gonna. I feel like it's when it finally does come in, it's gonna blindside you, and you're not gonna see it coming. If you're watching this afterwards, I would say within 2 to 3 months of watching this video, you're gonna completely put this situation out of your mind. But within 2 to 3 months, whatever it is will start happening, and it'll be very noticeable. I feel I'm getting this blindside energy, because the Tower card is here, but the fertility is on your side, and the inspiration also. I'm seeing something kind of like, especially with that Tower energy, and it's showing up later for you. Things are being set up to work for you, but you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait, and it's nothing. There's nothing you can do. I really almost feel like there's nothing you can do wrong. So if this was like you're waiting for somebody in a relationship sense, you think somebody's going to come towards you, and they just never do. If you go date somebody else, it won't cause a problem. I'm getting that situation will just fizzle out on its own, and when this other person finally comes back around, they'll see their moment. It'll just mesh up correctly. I wouldn't worry about it. Like, and if not for nothing, say maybe that relationship you go into, the new person you start dating that flourishes better, that might be helping you better. You might get out of a bad situation that you didn't have to be a part of to start with. So like, there's no wrong way to handle this, if that makes sense. Because I'm getting like this crossed wires, kind of like, say, if we're going to do the relationship again, say you go date somebody else. One of two things will happen. Either the person you start dating is better for you anyway, and you'll stick with that, or that person will just fall away when the right one is ready to move forward. They're saying don't center on this anymore. Just put it out of your mind. Put it literally right out of your mind as much as you can, which is hard for a Pisces, I think. But if you're frustrated, you might be able to. The energy is a little bit, I'm getting the yawn energy here, but see, I'm seeing this card, and I'm almost cringing to show it, but whatever it is, you will get, it will come forward. It is coming forward. It's just, I feel your energy's like, I don't believe, because I feel like I've been waiting too long. I don't see any sign of this actually happening. I feel like I've just been sitting here on my butt and nothing is happening, so I need to go do something else. That might actually kick this energy forward.
In review, then, I live a very stable life, more than many so-called grounded folks. They just can't see it because it looks different to them using their awareness of what stability is supposed to mean. By the grace of God, I've recalibrated with each change in this wave that I've been riding for years now, found inspiration, and with no unfinished business to address, it's all seemingly wrapped up in a nice bow at this juncture in my life. I'm ready to take on the world, a new world, which invited me to dinner, blew my mind with its parallel realities, offered convergence if I was ready and willing, and led me to this space in my life where I feel more like myself than I ever have before. So yes, Zuzu, it begins. And with that, I will leave it here.